Crossover games are always looking for something we long for. After all, very few gamers are only loyal fans to a single franchise. Most people out there in the world have more than a singular interest, and this also tends to extend to the world of gaming. With so many different titles to choose from, spanning across so many different gaming genres, and across multiple consoles, it makes sense that fans would enjoy seeing characters or worlds from their favorite franchises collide. And it makes sense on the profit side of it too, as it opens up companies to more exposure amidst different fandoms. However, not every crossover in the history of gaming has been well thought out, or even seem to make sense. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. Today we are going to focus on some of these more surprising mashups as we count down our top 10 unexpected gaming crossovers. While a lot of crossovers have made sense, a lot have also seemed devoid of any rhyme or reason. Let's get counting. Number 10, Super Mario and Sonic. This seems like an unexpected move considering that Sega and Nintendo were always considered sworn rivals, with Nintendo pretty much always coming out on top. Both companies were interested in promoting the Olympics and the idea of good sportsmanship to young players, and it was because of this that the two companies decided to team up for Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. This game was actually so successful that it spawned two follow-up titles after its release, one in honor of the 2010 Winter Olympics and another in honor of the 2012 Summer Olympics. Who would have thought that two lifelong rivals like Sega and Nintendo could actually join up together and find so much success in the process? Number 9, Legend of Zelda and Mario Kart. Sure, these are both Nintendo games, so you might not think that this one is strange, but until recently, Zelda characters never really appeared in Mario Kart. So if you've been playing Mario Kart since, I don't know, the 90s, this integration likely felt strange to you. In fact, Mario Kart had actually been around for over 20 years before the Legend of Zelda characters and theme tracks were ever introduced. It wasn't until 2014 in Super Mario 8 that we saw this crossover happen, and even then it was actually only as DLC at first. 3 DLC packs would actually become available for that game, one for Zelda, one of Animal Crossing stuff, and one for Mercedes-Benz. Is it weird that I also find Animal Crossing and Mario Kart to fit better than Legend of Zelda and Mario Kart? Maybe it's just that the Animal Crossing style matches more, and yet it's not weird that to me that Legend of Zelda is in like Smash Bros. It's just weird in Mario Kart. Number 8, Final Fantasy and Disney. As successful as Kingdom Hearts has become and continue to be, you have to admit it's a pretty unexpected mashup of beloved characters. The game apparently only came about because of a literal elevator pitch during a time when both groups worked in the same building, with the game's producer ending up in an elevator with a Disney executive, which just goes to show how truly spontaneous the creation of this game was. That successful discussion ended up, however, leading to a game that many fans of both worlds and even just of Kingdom Hearts themselves alone continue to love. I actually have some friends that are like super passionate Kingdom Hearts nerds. They're like, yes, give me the Kingdom Hearts. I've never quite understood Kingdom Hearts, but hey, if you like it. Number 7, Portal and Borderlands. Is this game weird or is it great? I think the only answer to that question is yes. I'm here to talk about Poker Night 2, a game that was a follow-up to Telltale Games' previous poker title. Yeah, Telltale Games also at one point got into making poker games featuring a bunch of eclectic characters. In Poker Night 2, two characters and game worlds that you get to see cross over into each other a little bit are Gladys from Portal and Claptrap from Borderlands. And you might think, hey, not so weird, Amanda, they're both AI robots from a potential apocalyptic future-like world. And yeah, you could argue that, except that the roster of licensed characters does not end there. The game also features Sam from Sam and Max, as well as Max actually, and Ash Williams from The Evil Dead. Although to be clear, Max was not one of the players in that, but Max was one of the players in the poker game that came before that. Number 6, Super Bomberman R and Silent Hill. Considering that both these titles are brought to you by Konami, the crossover kind of makes sense in terms of licensing, but not really in any other way. In Super Bomberman R, one of the DLC Bombermans you can get is Pyramid Head, which, considering how different these two franchises are in terms of tone, seems very strange and out of place. Pyramid Head, however, is at least reimagined in the Bomberman style, making him stick out a little less, but Only a little. Number 5, Doom and Animal Crossing. A year ago, we saw fans of these two titles celebrate and embrace the idea of crossover between these two very different worlds. While nothing ever came of it in terms of in-game crossover content, we saw both Doomguy and Isabelle crossover into one another's worlds through various fan art and fan-made concept game trailers. Why did this happen? Because both shared a release date for the newest titles belonging to their franchises, Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Rather than ignore this information or lament it and be like, ugh, we have to share a release date with those people, everyone was pleasantly surprised when fans from both sides decided to celebrate it instead. Although, to be fair, I'm sure there was at least some crossover between fans as well. You can like both Doom and Animal Crossing. That's okay. They both might be very different franchises, but hey, you know, you're not a one-note person. An individual gamer can love both of those franchises for different reasons. I feel like there's actually probably a lot of Doom fans who are like closet Animal Crossing players. Or like, don't tell anyone, but I love Animal Crossing. Who doesn't love Animal Crossing? That's my question. Number 4, Batman / SpiderMan and Revenge of Shinobi. Well, technically the boss was named Metamorpher and was a shapeshifter who possessed both forms of these familiar superheroes. Still, it just looked in the original release of this game like you were fighting Spider-Man and Batman. In the game's story, what's really happening here is the powerful ninja protagonist of the game, Joe Masashi, is simply fighting a foe who looks like Spider-Man and then shifts into a character who just happens to look like Batman. However, the character's different looks were so exact to the comic book counterparts that Sega actually... we're getting into a little copyrighted licensing issue over there. This led to them completely changing the look of their Batman lookalike in subsequent versions, and then eventually, after they gained and lost the license for Spider-Man, changing that character's color as well. Number 3, Super Mario and Rabbids. I'm not even sure why this crossover exists. It's not that there is anything particularly wrong with it, it just seems like the most random thing under the sun. Even more random than a shape-shifting boss who just happens to look like popular comic book superheroes. Mario and Rabbids decided to link up for the crossover title Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle in 2017 because they wanted that super duper family appeal. I guess. If you just watch the trailer, you'll get a sense for how wildly ridiculous the premise of this game seems. However, it should be noted that the game was fairly well received when it came to reviews. Just goes to show you that just because something is weird and unexpected doesn't mean that it has to be bad. Number 2, Everybody's Golf and God of War. Who doesn't want to see Kratos golf, right? Everybody's Golf, also known in North America as Hot Shots Golf, is, you guessed it, a franchise all about golfing. Kratos from God of War somehow ended up as one of the featured DLC characters in Hot Shots Golf Out of Bounds. In the game, he's an expert character who's known for his powerful drive, but slight lack of control. Yeah, that sounds like Kratos to me. He's got a lot of power, but he's kind of out of control. Number 1, Fighters Megamix and Daytona, USA. If you thought, well, it can't get more unexpected than Kratos teeing off in Hot Shots, well, you'd be wrong, because this weirdness tops everything else on the list by far. Fighters Megamix was a fighting game that took Sega properties and allowed them to fight against each other. Now that doesn't inherently sound weird, but the weirdest game to cross over with it was actually Daytona, USA. The character featured from that game was car number 41, Hornet, who stood up on its rear wheels and attempted to vertically run its opponents over while fighting them. It could also perform weird and disjointed looking flips. No, I'm not joking. If you ever wanted to see a car like flip around, that's there's a game for that. There you go. What do you think are some of the most bizarre game crossovers out there? Are there any on this list that you've actually played? If so, what were your thoughts? Did you enjoy the game? Did you not enjoy it? And which ones were you surprised to hear about on this list? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Haunted Pokemon Creepypastas. This ninja does everything comments, just wondering, do you ever consider giving credit to the original writers? To avoid legal trouble, well, I would suggest doing it. Also, it's just common courtesy. I really love this comment, like I love it so much. I personally am big on citing where I found things from and giving credit where it's due, and I do usually include a source list with links for all of you to go check out if you like when I create these scripts. Usually you can actually find these in the video description, so if you're ever looking for those, that's usually where we put them. However, I noticed on this video we didn't have them there, so I actually responded with the links to that comment. So if you wanted to find them for that video, you can check them out under that comment. I will say, however, for that list, 7 out of 10 on them were originals out of my own spooky mind that I wrote myself. Boo. And so yeah, a lot of the creepypastas lists that I do a lot of original ones personally. Rubric Cube laments, "Aw, I wanted Law Silver here. It's my favorite creepypasta." Law Silver is a great creepypasta. Maybe we'll include that one on another list. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!